The return of an iconic video game brand. Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. Joining us is CEO Alex Josef. Hi, Alex.
Hey, how are you, Fred?
Great to see you. Well, Acclaim dates back to 1987, I believe, and
Correct.
created some really well-known franchises. Give us a little background here and then bring us up to date.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think we all remember and love Acclaim, the original Acclaim, launched in 1987. It was created by a team of three. There was Greg Fishbach, Robert Holmes, Jim Skorupowski, and and they basically created, one of the first really awesome behemoth. I guess you could call them, an indie publisher. Um, and they worked with various development studios and brought their games to the widest possible audience, providing them with all of the support, all of the publishing support needed to do that. What we're doing here is now really revitalizing and relaunching that iconic Acclaim brand, and it's a whole new team of game industry veterans. So we've all got a lot of experience in the industry. Um, we've got a very impressive internal core team, and then also a really solid team of advisors that come from, I guess, various industries and disciplines, and all bring something to the table in terms of providing value for the company, for Acclaim, and for our developers. So we're really excited about reintroducing Acclaim and bringing it to a whole new generation of gamers.
Tell us a little more about the team here and your background too.
So I've been working in games for. I'm going to be heading up the company. I've been working in games for more than 25 years. I started in PR and marketing, and I worked back in the day. I worked on some pretty large accounts. I worked with Konami and helped to launch the Metal Gear series and Silent Hill, and worked with Blizzard with Diablo 2 and some of the Warcraft games, and Codemasters and a bunch of fantastic publishers and developers. And I went solo in the early 2000s, and started an agency and worked with some pretty solid gaming brands, including some hardware brands like Alienware and Voodoo PC. And and then later in, I don't know, around 2011 or 12, started working with a lot of indie titles, and launched some fantastic indie titles from some great developers like Drinkbox Studios, helped them with Guacamelee 2, Curve Digital at that time, now Curve Games, with Human Fall Flat. And then in 2018, I started a video game publishing company called Graffiti Games. And I built that company over about 5 years before I was bought out and my shares were acquired. We launched about 15, 16 titles during that time. And and then I got bored after that. I felt like I needed something to do. I thought, okay, well, maybe I can just sort of relax for a bit. And but no such luck. I was got the itch again, and started talking with some people in the industry about starting a new indie publishing company. And we had the opportunity to acquire the Acclaim mark and Acclaim brand, and we all felt like it would just be a great fit to reintroduce Acclaim. And so that's kind of a little bit of my history and how I got to this point.
I assume you don't have access to like the legacy Acclaim titles, right?
So there are some that are available. There's certainly old Acclaim IP that is available that we're looking at. So first and foremost, we're going to be focused on original IP from indie developers. We really want to be a publisher that supports indie developers and creates relationships with indie developers. Nothing that's overly transactional. We want to forge relationships that are going to be multi-title. Um, we're also looking at old Acclaim IP, and we will certainly be revitalizing and reinvigorating some of that old IP. the trick is to find stuff that's going to resonate with gamers now. So I think there's certainly some of maybe the sports titles, also some of the early, action adventure titles. I don't want to name anything specifically, but there's definitely certain titles that we're looking at, and we'll look at revitalizing those titles and bringing them to a new audience of gamers. We just have to make sure that they're going to resonate. Something that was maybe based on an old, license, a film license or something like that, might not resonate as well as like a wrestling title or another sports title.
How has this industry changed? And as you're jumping back into it with this brand, Acclaim, how is it different from what it used to be?
The industry has changed, I mean, drastically from, just the ability for developers to be able to publish themselves. That's been the case for a while, but I think that overall it's become a lot more equitable for developers to work with publishers and have, and be able to realize a really fair deal, and bring their games to a much larger audience than if they were to self-publish. I think that this is a really interesting time currently, because I don't know if I would call it necessarily a video game sort of, it's not like a winter, but absolutely what I've been hearing from developers is that they've been talking to publishers. They have great games, and they've been talking to publishers, and there's just not the availability of funding that there was maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. So they're they may have a fantastic game, but there's not as much availability to find a publishing deal and to bring their game to market. So I think that puts us in a unique situation, in a unique position, because we're well funded. As we go into GDC in a few weeks, we're looking at speaking with working with partners, some of our distribution and vendor partners that we're going to be working with, and also talking with as many developers as we can, and looking at being able to to bring their games on and support their games. We're definitely going to be selective. We're not going to just look at partnering and working with anyone and everyone. I think there's got to be something unique. That's what I definitely look for, is something unique in terms of gameplay and in terms of something that stands out in the genre. But yeah, it's a very different landscape than it was certainly when original Acclaim launched in 1987.
And tell me about the platforms that are out there today, and maybe what excites you.
Well, the platforms just keep, I mean, it's just they just keep getting better and better in terms of power and capability, with the console platforms and with Steam and Steam Deck. I love where we're going. I think that AI is going to play a really important part in games and game development and publishing as we move into the future. I'm very curious to see what happens as we move forward with VR as well. I'm very excited about the next generation of console platforms, as we see Switch 2 coming up, and other iterations of the platforms from Sony and Microsoft. So I think this is going to be a very exciting time. I think the next 24 to 36 months in games is going to be very exciting.
And you're unable to hint right now about the titles we're going to see from you? Tell us what you can.
I would love to. I can tell you that they're going to be fantastic titles from really, really great developers, and that we're actively looking at and selecting from old Acclaim IP as well. We'll definitely do a follow-up announcement. It's probably going to come, either we'll start discussing at GDC or shortly thereafter. We're just not making any announcements or discussing any specific titles yet.
I'm not going to say you're playing games with us, but we're looking forward to the games. So, for more info, where can people go?
So they can go to, we'll have playacclaim.com is the website, and they can always contact us directly if they have a game to submit at contact@playacclaim.com.
Terrific. Alex Josef, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Absolutely, and thank you so much, Fred. I appreciate it.